Welcome back to the Secret Underground Lair. Today we start bending our sides of our guitar to conform to the profile that we have here. And to do that, I'm going to be employing this little bending iron that I developed some time ago, making ukuleles a number of years ago. So it's simply a large disc that represents kind of a heat sink and a tube here that gets heated, and you lay the wood on top of that, and the heat of this iron, we'll call it, the heat of the iron, kind of loosens the fibers or relaxes the fibers of the wood and allows the wood to bend. Now to get heat into that, there's a hole at this end into which I apply the tip of that torch. It's been designed specifically for this torch. So I insert that. Through the hole there. You can see the tip of the torch comes through. I'm going to be pushing it through a little bit farther so that the flame actually starts inside the tube. So there's nothing exposed here, but the flame starts in here and heats up the tube. Of course, it is exhausted out this end. So when using it, I have to remember, keep away from the end of that tip because it's a little warm. So I'm going to set this in the vise, attach the gas to it. Originally when I did this, I was using propane. This is MAP gas, so it burns a little bit hotter. It's a little too hot, so I have to keep the flame very low. And yeah, I'll set this up, we'll do some bending. And that is today's adventure. Alright, torch is on, or the iron is on. And I'm just going to see how this goes. The theory, the way this usually works, is you apply a little bit of heat here and some gentle pressure, and the wood should just relax and allow it to bend. So I'm focusing right now on the middle of the piece, which is going to give me the biggest bend, sharpest bend. Figure might as well start there. And already the wood is starting to bend a little bit. I can feel it relaxing somewhat. You can see we've got a little bend going on already. Just going to apply a little bit of moisture again onto that spot. Definitely want to keep it moist to avoid it burning. You can see we're getting quite a bend in it now. I'm just going to go over and see how that bend looks compared to the angle we're going for. And yes, I must be much tighter than that, so I've got quite a way to go. Okay, and now I'm going to start working on this portion of the curve. It's going to curve up this way. This is the narrow end of the guitar. See, we're getting a little bit of a bend there. This has relaxed quite a bit, this particular bend. This has to be redone, but it's going to take quite a bit of back and forth on this. I'm going to come back when I've got a little bit more done. Well, after working on this for a little while, you can see the bend that I've got. This maple is probably just a little bit too thick for bending the way, for this method that I'm using, but it is working. It's just taking a lot of time. So what I do observe is that as I make the bend, what I had previously bent becomes unbent to some degree. So I keep going back and forth over the same bend a lot. What I'm going to do here is, as you can see, I've got this clamped in our deepest bend, and I'm going to let that sit and cool back down again, clamped up. Hopefully it'll retain that shape, at least retain it a little bit better and longer. Then I'll come back out and finish working on the ends here. So, time for a bite of lunch. Alrighty, after a little more heat treatment, just going a little bit at a time. Managed to get this now conforming quite nicely. The light is bad, but it's conforming very nicely now to our mold. And even on here, we're looking pretty good. So I'm very happy with that result. I'm gonna let this piece just sit here and dry out a little bit before we tackle the next piece. Well, actually, I may do a little bit of bending on the next piece just to kind of get it preliminarily bent. And then we'll go after this mold when we have that one. This one is nice and dry. So a little bit of winging it here, but overall I'm pretty pleased. The wood got a little bit warm here. As you can see, I got a couple little scorch marks from the iron, but those will sand out. So I now have our second piece clamped in the buck, and I'm going to let this dry. I'm probably going to need to do a little bit more bending over here. That's just a little bit shallow and a little bit shallow in here. So we'll come back and do a little bit more heating in this area. But for now, we're going to let that dry just to kind of take a more permanent shape. Maple, from what I can tell so far, likes to be straight. It will bend, but it seems to want to go back to straight as much as it possibly can. So we're going to let this dry, see if it'll stick. All right, I just came out and took this piece out of our buck and heated it up a little bit more and bent it around here. And as I was taking it out of this buck, the piece really straightened out again. It does seem that soaking the wood has really made it quite pliable, and it will remain quite pliable until it completely dries out. So I'm going to leave it in this buck now for a couple days just to let it dry. And we'll come back after that and look at fitting it to the top. There's still some work to be done on the top. For example, I need to do the bracing and figure out some of the electronics on the top. But yeah, some fiddling to do there. And of course, there's lots of work to be done on the neck. So I will call that a video for today. I hope it was helpful. I may have been a little bit short on the actual bending technique. I hope you got enough to see what I was doing there and to observe, based on this clamping, that I was able to effectively bend a piece of maple, solid maple, that's a little over 1/8 of an inch thick, maybe almost 3 millimeters in thickness. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next video.